Good morning, children. The story I have to tell you this morning is something that happened to me when I was 9 years old. Is there anyone here who's 9? No. Are you 9? Okay, so I'd be about your size. So we lived at the time in Perth in Western Australia, and one of my favourite things to do of everything was to read. And my mother used to tell people that she could give me a book and put me in a corner for a couple of hours and come back and pick me up later. Now that could be a form of abuse, couldn't it? But back then it was perfectly okay to do that with children. So on the day of this story, we'd been to the library after school, and the books that I loved more than anything to read were called the famous 5 books. And it was a whole series of books about 4 children and their dog Timmy who had adventures in the school holidays, and they were amazing adventures. And on this day, this is the book I chose from the library, 5 Go to Smuggler's Top. So, at the end of the day, after we'd had dinner and we went to bed, my sister and I were allowed half an hour to read before Mum would turn the light out. And she was really strict on that. So we went to bed, I got my new book out and I started reading, and half an hour went really quickly and Mum was there turning off the light. I was so disappointed. So I had a backup plan. And that was this tiny little torch that I got at the show that I would pull the blankets over my head, turn my torch on, and I'd keep reading. I had to wait till my sister went to sleep because she'd tell on me. But there I was, blankets over my head, reading. And I just got up to chapter 2, which is called A Shock in the Night. Suddenly, my torch went off. I was so disappointed. And I thought, I know, I'll just creep out across the hall, open the linen cupboard, and down the bottom were spare batteries. Easy. So I got out of bed, went to the door. There were double sliding glass doors into the lounge room, and I could see the back of Mum and Dad. That was a good sign. Opened the linen cupboard, bent down to the box I knew held the spare batteries, put them in my torch, and went to stand up. And I couldn't stand up. So I tried again, nothing. My leg wouldn't move. So I got my torch, and I shone a light down, and this is what I saw. A big needle poking out of my knee. And the alarming thing was the sharp end was poking out. The blunt end was in my knee. That scared me a bit. So I had a go at pulling it out. I could not get it out. And I thought, oh, this isn't looking good. So I called out and I said, Mum, can you come? And she said, Cherie, go to sleep or else. Now, back then, parents had a lot more liberty with their children. and or else meant something I didn't want. So I thought I had to escalate it. And I said, Mum, I've got a needle stuck in my knee. Well, that got things moving. They were both out of their chairs, through the glass doors. Mum said, what have you done? And I said, I don't know what I've done, but I've got this needle stuck in my knee. And she said, well, I'll pull it out. She couldn't pull it out. Mel, you pull it out. Dad couldn't pull it out. Melvin, go and get the pliers from the garage. So Dad came back in with pliers, clamped them around the needle, pulled it out. And that was it. But that wasn't the end of the pain, because the next day I had to go to the doctor and have a vaccination so I wouldn't get tetanus. No, a really nasty disease. So like the famous 5, I had a shock in the night, and it was one that I didn't anticipate. And I used to tell my sons when they were small that goodness is its own reward. And I found out that night that doing the wrong things and being disobedient brings rewards too, and they aren't always very nice. So thank you for listening to my story. I hope you don't do anything like that in your life, like sneaking out and getting things and injuring yourself, but it does happen. Thank you. You may go back to your seat.